homes in the Denver market just got 10% cheaper. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to want to pay attention to this because we're setting up for what's going to be a really interesting beginning of the year. But I felt it was really necessary to go over what's happened in the last handful of weeks here because interest rates have been driving our market for the last year and a half. And right now, at the end of 2023, it's no different. But if you're in the market to be a buyer or to be a seller, you're going to want to pay close attention over the next couple of months here. Now, my name's Alex Saldana. I've been a local Denver real estate agent since 2010, and I like to keep you updated on what the market is doing, answering questions you homeowners, buyers, and investors have on this channel. But if you have any questions, feel free, call me, text me, reach out. Be happy to set aside a few minutes to have a chat. Let's just jump right in and let me show you what I'm talking about here. So what we're looking at here is a graph of interest rates, and that's been driving our entire market. It has over the last year and a half. Headlines happen, and then all of a sudden I get a flood of calls from sellers wanting to sell because they think they're going to miss the top and they want to, off their property because they don't need it anymore. And then when interest rates dip a little bit, I get called from more buyers that are getting back into the market. Like, I'm always amazed at how close attention people pay to what's going on in the market. But at the end of October, what we saw is we had about a 1 month period here of interest rates at about 7.8%. Okay. Now, what's happened over the last 2 months approximately is that rates have just been steadily declining. Now, when we were at 7.8%, I was getting ads thrown to me all the time on new home builders offering 3%, 4% interest rates with these crazy expensive seller concessions. Now, what's awesome, actually, so little insider tip here, is that those new home builders are still offering those incentives, even though interest rates have come down quite a bit. So we went from 7.8%, and we are all the way down at 6.59% today. It's still high, right? Historically, we're still above, or right around where the average is over the last 75 years. But I don't know if I like to look at that number because nothing is the same since 75 years ago. But what does this do to the market, and how does this affect you if you're on the sell side or the buy side? Well, let's start with the buy side because that's a little easier. Interest rates at 7.8%. I'm going to come over here to my mortgage calculator. I'll have a link in the description below, but you can get this anywhere. If you were looking at a $500,000 house, putting down $100,000 at 20%, and you don't have to put down 20%, 5% is enough, but just for the sake of easy numbers, with a 30-year fixed loan at 7.8%, your monthly payment would be just under $2,900 a month. Okay, that's what it shakes out to. Now, where are we at now? 6.6%, we'll say. Let's adjust that number. All right, $2,900 a month down to $2,550 a month. That's what, an 11% change in your monthly payment. Doesn't sound like too big of a deal. Oh, it dropped by $300 a month. Okay, that's fine. $300 a month is still really nice. But more importantly, what it actually does is it changes the amount of houses you can look at. So we all know we're having an inventory crisis. There's not a lot of people putting their house on the market because if you're in at a 3% interest rate, why would you want to sell your house unless you absolutely have to? I would say half of the listings coming on the market are honestly because of people passing away or becoming too old to care for their primary home anymore and move it into assisted living. And that's easily half the houses on the market, if not more. But what happens is you're working with me, we're buying a house, your price range is up to $500,000. That's what you're pre-approved for. Well, what this interest rate change does is, let's say you were making $100,000 a year and you had your $100,000 down payment, and we were looking at 30-year fixed mortgages at 7.8%, you could afford a home up to $516,000. Okay, so what I have here is a search on the MLS and saying you were searching up to $516,000 for a single family home, basically in the 470 loop around Denver. You've got 486 potential properties. Now that's going to be a big footprint. So obviously, if you looked in one quadrant of the city, maybe you're looking at 100 plus homes. So we're looking at $516,000 and under. Now, when we look at our new potential at 6.6%, we can look at homes up to 570,000. You went from 516 up to 570,000. That's more than a 10% increase in your purchasing power. So when we come in here and we update what we're looking for, we literally have gone up to 848 matches. It's almost doubled the amount of homes you can look at. So now on the buy side, hugely important is that for every 1% that interest rates drop, you have 10% more competition for that house. So in this example, this is where stretching what you're looking for will actually help you in being less competitive, if that makes sense. So you were pre-approved for 516,000. That's what you were looking at. Now that interest rates have dropped, it's worth a conversation with your lender to see what those new limits are. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you, hey, you should spend more money on a house. But at the same time, we literally just saw that the amount of inventory you could look at is doubling. And now we are in this magical time of year where it's still slow on the sales side. So I think you can still get a good amount of seller concessions out there to buy your rate down another 0.5% or up to even a full percent, depending on the situation. So you could likely get in potentially the high fives, the low sixes, as your interest rate, and that can be fixed for over the life of the loan. And if rates do drop, just do a refi and, just take the lower rate. So we're in this interesting little period here where there's still not a lot of sellers, but we're still in the lull slow time, and we are expecting it to pick up middle to end of January. Now, if you're on the sell side, be prepared for what's going to come in the next few months, and you need to prepare now. Let me show you some more stats here to just help shed some clarification on this. I do this every single year, and I study these trends extremely closely. You buy or sell a house once every 5 to 10 years, right? So this is where you need to really pay attention. So this graph that we're looking at is of the Denver metro area. Each one of these lines is a different year. 2021 is the orange year. 2022 is the black year. 2023 is the blue year. So what we're looking at here is new listings to come up on the market. And what we're doing is matching last year on how many new listings have come on the market the last week in the Denver metro area. Okay, no big deal. Quite a few less than 2021. All right, no big deal. The amount of pending sales, we're down just a little bit from last year on the number of pending sales, meaning closed sales in the next 30 to 45 days are going to be a little bit less than they were last year, just because the amount of under contract is down. The amount of homes closed is a little bit down than it was from last year, but these numbers are mimicking each other extremely closely. It's amazing how closely we see the dip in numbers and how much they correlate year after year. So I know we're going through this, but I'm setting the stage here. The new listing median price, we are up a little bit year over year. Median sales price, we're about even, about up 1%, no big deal here, which is way better than anybody thought it was going to be, by the way. Days to close, we're about the same year over year. It always takes about 30 days to close. Then, if we look at the amount of active listings, 2021, super duper low amount of active listings. We're about the same as last year, a little bit less than we were last year. Price drops, This is what I thought was going to accelerate, but it's actually really slowed down. We are doing less price drops this year than we had in 2022. So that just means that, the sellers are just more comfortable with having their house be on the market for more than 2 weeks. Age of inventory is about the same as last year. Month supply is a little bit higher than last year, but not much. So what this means is, because this is what happened last year, is let's go back to the median sales price. Last year, come the beginning of 2023, here's this low point, the beginning of February, Now remember that this is delayed by 30 days. Closed price happens 30 days prior because that's when the offers are happening. We went from 529,000, at the low, at the very beginning of February, all the way up to 596,000. That's a what? 12% jump? 600, 530 to 12-ish% jump or more in price over a 3-month period essentially. And the most hyper time happens at the end of February till about the middle of April. So if you're on the sell side, you want to start preparing now to get your house on the market from the end of February till about the middle of April. If you are on the buy side, you want to act now, get those seller concessions while things are still slow, because once March hits, you're going to be facing a lot more competition. And if they do decide to drop rates in March, it's going to be gangbusters. If you're on the buy side, you might want to just kind of sit back for a little bit until the end of summer, beginning of fall. I don't like being a big proponent for that, but at the same time, like last year, we had so many multiple offer scenarios, prices going up by 5 to 10% over asking price, and no one wants to be in that situation unless you have to be. So trying to prepare you before these events actually happen so you can act accordingly, whether you're looking to sell, whether you're looking to buy. But if you're looking at Denver from out of state and kind of investigating here, or you live here and you're looking to make a shift in 2024, check this video out. It's number 10 on our top 10 list of neighborhoods to look at in 2024. And once again, if you have any questions, feel free, reach out, call, text me. Would love to set up a time to chat with you. Until the next time, happy housing.